And the other part is, there's a great book that was written by Graham Allison called Destined for War. And the little subtitle was, Can China and the U.S. Avoid the Thucydides Trap, right? My goal was to get Thucydides into this discussion. Right?
You did it.
There you go. So
By the way, General, there is a question on reading recommendations. I think you've given us at least 10 so far.
I'll give you a couple.
I may not ask that question.
Yeah, so I had a chance to meet Graham, and I read his book actually a couple of times and found myself highlighting and understanding, because I said, what I do as the director is a lifelong education. And you can take somebody that is, and so this is an interesting part of the forum, right? You can take somebody that spends their entire life and does nothing but studies the PLA or studies China, and they will still tell you they're a work in progress. So as you look at that, part of what Graham's premise is you're not going to box them in, but I think there's also a great quote in, I actually have it written down here. This was not by purpose, but let me share this with you, because you bring up that point. It goes into Graham's book, and it talks about the relationship with China. And you get back to the Thucydides Trap, that when you have a rising and a reigning power, not everything is destined to end in conflict. And so Graham lays out about 16 different case studies, and really the Thucydides Trap, based on a reigning Sparta and a rising Athens, is that when you have that kind of a dynamic, that you're going to have a conflict. And I think Graham's counsel to us is, it's not a predetermined outcome that you're going to have a conflict. And so what I thought was a great quote from the secretary, and I'll read you the quote here, because I think it brings in the context of, what is the nature of the relationship with China? And this is Secretary Mattis, and kind of the counsel that he gives. It says, a generation from now, we will be judged on whether or not we successfully integrated rising powers while increasing economic prosperity, maintaining international cooperation based on agreed upon rules and norms, protecting fundamental rights of our people and avoiding conflict. Pretty insightful. And so while you think about a rising China, part of what came out of World War II with Bretton Woods, with NATO, with the IMF, the WTO, was this rules-based order, which we can, whatever you want to call it, the current world order, the liberal world order, but it was based on a set of rules and norms. And there were a couple of nations that weren't there at Bretton Woods and didn't sign on any of the documents. One was Russia and the other was China. And so they may tell you, not to speak for them, that those were not necessarily the norms that they signed up to. But what Graham lays out in his book is that they're not looking to break the current world order, they're looking to bend it to their advantage. And some of the things you alluded to in terms of just how democracies operate, it allows them some maneuver space to be able to do that. And Graham lays that out in some of the argument that he puts in the book, I think, very, very well.